Chapter 2. Fur, Forts and Power, 1700 to 1820. As the fur trade surged inland, the Hudson's Bay Company followed and changed forever. To the interior, where fortunes were made, HBC traders pushed inland with paddles, pelts, and promises. From its coastal strongholds, the company extended its reach inland, building posts that became the beating heart of a growing trade empire. Rivers were roads, lakes were highways. The trade was in motion, fast, mobile, relentless. But they were not alone. The Northwest Company rose to challenge HBC, aggressive, agile, and fiercely independent. Two companies, one territory. Their networks collided across thousands of miles of forest and prairie. Trade goods became leverage. Metal, wool, and weapons could turn alliances, or turn them against you. Indigenous nations were not bystanders. They were brokers, protectors, partners, and often the deciders of who succeeded. Women sustained the trade, preparing hides, forging kinship ties, and guiding cultural connection across the frontier. Out of trade came people, the Métis, born of two cultures and essential to the future of both. The company built forts like cities, with smiths, clerks, interpreters, gardens, and guns. Competition sharpened into conflict. At river crossings and trading posts, violence flared, and blood was spilled. The trade changed everyone. Foods, languages, and customs flowed in both directions, complex and permanent. Each bale was logged, weighed, and tracked. The company was becoming more than a trader. It was an engine of empire. Clerks wrote of storms, standoffs, and survival. These letters are windows into a world built on fur and frost. By the early 1800s, the land was marked by motion. HBC had become continental, and so had its ambitions. More posts meant more goods and more paperwork. The bay was becoming a supply chain as much as a store. Not all welcomed the company's reach. Resistance was real. Power still lay in refusal. By 1820, rivalry had drained both sides. The Northwest Company, once so bold, was fading. A merger was signed. The old enemies became one, reshaping the continent's fur trade forever. The contest was over. The company was changed, larger, leaner, and poised for something even bigger. The Hudson's Bay Company had become more than a trader. It was a power, and it was just getting started. Chapter 3. From Colony to Country, 1821 to 1870. The Hudson's Bay Company once ruled a vast wilderness, but it was now being asked to manage a growing population and its own decline. After merging with the Northwest Company in 1821, HBC held legal control over one-third of North America. Its monopoly was bigger than ever, but increasingly hard to justify. With no national government in place, HBC acted as the authority, issuing licenses, setting law, and managing disputes across Rupert's land. But things were changing. Settlers arrived in greater numbers, demanding farmland, schools, and rights. The fur trade model no longer fit the world they were building. Nowhere was the tension clearer than at Red River, a settlement of Métis, Scots, and settlers living under HBC rule but pushing for self-determination. A young Louis Riel emerged from this moment, educated, defiant, and determined to protect Métis land, language, and leadership. In London, boardroom politics met colonial crisis. Company governors and imperial planners debated how long the Bay could keep ruling the West. The answer came through negotiation. In 1869, HBC agreed to sell Rupert's land to the new Dominion of Canada for £300,000. and some valuable downtown land. But no one told the people who lived there. The Red River resistance erupted as Riel and his supporters demanded rights before the transfer could proceed. In 1870, the transfer became official. The Hudson's Bay Company was no longer a governing body, just a business in a country it once controlled. The company's rule began to fracture culturally as well. English education clashed with French and Cree traditions, dividing communities across generations. As governance expanded, the company became more bureaucratic, hiring surveyors, clerks, and translators to manage law, trade, and local affairs across a continent. Beyond fur, the company became a landlord. It owned vast swaths of land and would sell or lease them to settlers for profit. Riel's provisional government secured terms for entry into Canada, including land rights and cultural protections. Manitoba was born, but the struggle was not over. The Bay's time as a sovereign power was over, but its name and influence would remain etched into Canadian geography and law. By 1870, the land was no longer governed by a fur-trading charter. It was a nation in the making, imperfect, ambitious, and ready to begin anew. The Bay never asked to be a government. It was a trading company thrust into statecraft, and increasingly resented for it. With the land sold, settlers poured west. Some came with hope, others with haste, all reshaping the world the company had claimed for centuries. But not everyone accepted the terms. Resistance leaders gathered, organized, and voiced their rejection of colonial assumptions and broken promises. By the end of the 1800s, HBC had already begun its transformation, from frontier authority to modern retailer. The fur empire had given way to shelves and signage. Even as power shifted, a new identity solidified. The Métis, born of two worlds, defined their culture, their land, and their future on their own terms. Across the continent, borders changed. What was once company land became the building blocks of provinces, policies, and new conflicts. Today, few notice the legacy beneath their feet, but every sidewalk, store shelf, and street corner carries echoes of the Bay's long shadow.